Hello again, this is step 19 one more time, but now we can see what we can do preceding the manual corrections if we want to blind ourselves. So this is an optional thing, which is strongly recommended if you yourself know, of course, what the IDs of your animals correspond to in terms of groups. Here I have all the data that we collected previously in all the previous steps. And I want to make some copies because I don't want to work with the original ones. And let's see what we're gonna need. Well, for sure we're gonna need these two folders, the excluded and final rows from the filtering. So let's just paste them here. All right, I have them. And what I'm also gonna need is the visually optimal images. I mean, they can be the visually optimal or the other ones, but I prefer to take this folder. And I will also paste it outside. So I'm going to work with these folders instead of these ones because I don't want anything to change inside my original ones. Good. Now that I've done this, I'm opening the macros and scripts and I'm opening the blind pie. And our images will be blinded based on a database that we have here with Pokemon. If you have more than 200 images, you can just update this list or you can make your own list with whatever you want. The format has to be this. You can ask ChatGPT to produce long lists for you in Python. So yeah, you can do whatever you want with that. But today we're using Pokemon. All right, let's start by running our script. And the first thing that is asked is to locate a directory to blind our images. So we have to create that directory. Let's call it blinded images. All right, but excuse me, this is where we want to save it. The directory that we want to blind is the visually optimal images. Okay, so I'm selecting the visually optimal, and now is the output directory, uh, which is where we want to save, and we want to save at the blinded images folder. Let's separate these two so it's more clear. Now there is a pop-up window asking if we want to rename any zip files based on the new blinded images. So far, the blinded images have already been created, but the snippet is still running. And yes, the truth is that we want also to rename our zip files. And we have our zip files here, the folders with the zip files. One is this, and the other one is the final rows. Now I also have some folders here. You can delete them or not. Well, doesn't really matter, but just for clarity, let's just make it a bit more understandable. Okay, there's a delay in deleting the files, but it's fine. And let's also do that. Careful not to grab any zip files. Now, because I have some files that I've removed from my database, you will see that my files that have a bregma lower than 1, like this one and this one, will not be translated and blinded, but that's just because I selected to. You'll see what I mean in a while. All right, yes, I want to rename zip files. Now I have to select the dictionaries. One is this for the excluded. And here's the warning. It says that we have to make sure that we have a copy because the change that's going to happen is going to happen inside this folder. Okay, and now you can see that everything has been renamed to Pokemon apart from these images that have a low bregma that I don't want to study. But no worries about it. You should be able to see all your zip files like that. And now there's another question saying if we want to rename one more folder based on this, and indeed we have one more folder with zip files that we want to rename. So we will locate it. Same warning. We press OK, and that's it. That's done. So what do we have so far? We have renamed our zip folders, and we have renamed our images. And when the time comes to unblind ourselves, so by having these right now, you can run the step 19 as usual. Okay, it's just that you're using blinded files instead. But that's all. That's all. Let's do that. But when the time comes after you run step 19, the manual corrections, and you end up with new folders, right, with zip files and everything, of course, then you want to unblind yourself. How do we do that? Okay, let's do it first for the blinded images, although you'll mostly need it, in fact, for these ones. But let's just run both situations in case you're curious and you want to unblind the images too. Okay, let's close this and let's locate, first of all, the decode blinding. And this is for the images part, not for the zip files. I'm gonna run it. And you see a pop-up window and an open file dialog that asks us to locate the encrypted pickle file. Now, the encrypted pickle file can be found inside the folder where the blinded images were created. All right, here. This contains all the information to retrieve the real names. So I'm opening that, and now I have to select a directory that I want to unblind. Well, this directory is, of course, the blinded images, and now a new unblinded directory with these images. I can make one and name it unblinded images. I don't really need it, but I'm just making it. Okay, I'm selecting the folder. Now it should run already. Let's see if we have it. Indeed, here we have our unblinded images, so they're reversed back to their original names. Good, so we have the unblinded images, but what we really need is the excluded and the final rows. For that, we have to run another script. Oh, and let me actually start closing some windows in here. Good. Okay, so for that, we're going to macros and scripts again. And now we're going to the decode blinding for zipped. And this is for the zip files, of course. I'm running the Python file again. Still, as seen previously, we have to locate inside the blinded images the encrypted file. So it's super important to have this file saved. And now I have to select directory to unblind. Let's start with the excluded ones. And the new unblinded directory, well, let's call it, let's create it here. And we will call it excluded unblinded. Good, so that should be done already. In the meantime, let's do the other one too. So you should, for one more time to go to the blinded images, locate the encrypted file, and now you're selecting the other directory. And the other directory is the final rows, and let's call it unblinded. No, final rows unblinded. And we're saving in here. So if everything has run well, which should be the case, you will see that indeed, oh, sorry, not here, indeed, you have your converted back to their real names zip files for the final rows. But keep in mind that practically you're going to do it with the zip files that you will end up with after your manual corrections. Right here, I'm just showing you how to turn the zip files back to the unblinded format, but you won't do that for the excluded and the final rows. You will do it for the very final rows that you will result with end up with when you run your script in step 19. Good. That's it, and we can just verify, and you should always just for one or two images verify when you first run a pipeline to make sure that everything runs properly. I do it way more times, of course, because I want to distribute it, but yeah, and work with that. So let's see where we can find now our images here. So visual optimal, and let's open, I don't know, 42, 60, 47, 01, and we have this image, and let's see if everything has worked properly. It's better to locate the final rows. 42, 60, 47, 01. It must be this one. So let's see if the regions of interest overlap. Indeed they do, which means that the translation has been done properly. That was it.